So one of the problems about SpaceChem is that it doesn't really have a learning curve so much as it has a learning cliff. There's a lot of things that you need to know before you can even do one level. I'm going to start off by going through this level, explaining everything that I've done for my solution, and then look at that in the top left up here. There's some guy who has a faster solution than me. I can't let that stand, so I'm going to have to try to improve my solution. So if we look at the thing here, what we need to do is we've got on the input side ethanol, which is grain alcohol, which is alcohol, which we need to turn into ethane and oxygen. If you look at how this balances, what we need is for this hydrogen to bond off of this carbon. This hydrogen needs to move where this oxygen is, and we're going to need two oxygens to make a oxygen molecule. If you've taken the first high school level course of chemistry, you'll learn about bonds. So you have our atoms bonded together to make molecules. Hydrogen can have only one bond, so it bonds to carbon. Carbon can have 4 bonds. Oxygen can have 2 bonds. So everything in this, actually in all of these molecules, are fully bonded. Oxygen has a double bond, which is two bonds. It can be between two atoms like this, so it has a double bond. So this was my old solution. We'll go through this cycle by cycle and we'll see what's going on, and then I'll redesign it to try to get it faster. So we have red and blue Waldos. When we let time go, they start moving forward along the path. When they hit a command, one of these circles things, they execute the command. So I think it'd be best if I just go through this and we'll see what happens. So red hit input alpha. That means that it inputs the molecule in this grid here, exactly as you see it in the side here. Blue hit a sink. That means it's going to sit there until red hits a sink. So once they're both synced up, molecules start moving. Next thing that happens is red grabs the molecule. I mean, it's just going to sit there until the Waldos actually grab the molecule. Blue hit a swap. That involves these things. These are quantum tunnels. When a Waldo hits a swap command, it takes an atom that was here, instantly teleports it over here, and vice versa. So when blue hits the swap command, it takes that oxygen, instantly teleports it over here. In doing so, it also debonded it from the carbon and the hydrogen. Since red is holding on to the hydrogen here, the entire molecule moves down, except for this hydrogen, which was left unbonded. So what's going to happen here? Blue's going to grab this oxygen, while red hits the bond. So these here are our bonders. They can bond and debond. Using commands, you can just create bond, debond like that. So when red hits the bond, forms a bond between the carbon and this hydrogen, and moves it forward. Now you notice that this here now, that what red's holding, that's our fully formed ethane. So that just needs to move over to the output and be outputted. We need 10 of these or 10 ethanes to finish the map, and 10 oxygens as well. So while that's moving over, well, let's look at what blue is doing. Hits here. There's some bond commands that right now don't look like they do anything, but we'll get back to that. Then it drops it here. Hits a flip-flop. What it does is blue will follow the arrow the first time. If you notice, the flip-flop was inactive. Once blue hits it, then it becomes active. That means the next time blue comes around, it'll go this way. So it kind of flips up, flops down, flips up, flops over, like that. So we've got red moving along, oxygen sitting here, blue flip-flop, activated the flip-flop and hit the sink here. So it's just going to sit there while red does this thing for a while. Red's has this ethane. It needs to move it fully into this psi output zone. So we'll go through a little rotate. It's faster to do a rotate. I will explain that in a later video. Drops it. Can't output a thing if you're still holding onto it. Then hits output psi. It outputted the molecule. It was the correct thing, so we've got 1 of 10. Now we just go through the cycle again. This time, blue gets a second oxygen. Now we need to double bond this oxygen, or double bond these two atoms together to make a double bonded oxygen molecule. So that's what these two bonds here are for. Red's going to hit a bond plus, blue's going to hit a bond plus, so that it gets double bonded just like that. Now blue hits the flip-flop. Yeah, blue dropped it, hits the flip-flop, outputs omega, and outputs that. So we just go through the solution, and that's all that solves that. Problems to be aware of: if you try to collide into a wall, breaks the solution. If you rotate an atom into a wall, breaks the solution. So a lot of the all the fun in this game is to try to build something that doesn't break and eventually works. That's kind of just refreshing to see it, sit here and watch things go. It looks really complicated, and you know, it kind of is. You have to decide where you're going to put your bonders, where you're going to put your things. You've got all these commands down here. You can right-click and change what things they are, which directions things rotate. There's a whole lot of commands, and it's really hard to show in a video. It's really easier just to get the demo yourself and play it yourself. The demo has a ridiculous amount of content. I think it's something like... God, you can play the demo for like 10 hours or something, I could imagine, before you get to the stuff you have to pay for. But now, let's try to speed this up. I need to shave off 57 cycles to beat this other guy. The way I think I can do that is by having red just go in a line like this. So let's do this. Let's input here, grab, rotate. Once it hits there, I can swap bond. Okay, let's see what happens here. So I input the red, I grab it, rotate, swaps that oxygen over here, bonds the hydrogen, and then I can drop it right there. So yeah, that's the ethane done. Just gotta do something with the oxygens now. Can I do this without sinks? Wait, if I do this, move these all over a little bit, I can have a sink here. So blue's just gonna sit until I get the sink. So it swaps. Blue can grab it. I'm gonna do a thing here. Oh, I can have this. Okay, I'll do that later. So let's see what's going on here. We'll just focus on blue. It sinks, grabs an oxygen. There's a bond here, which you'll see what's going on in a second. Actually, I forgot to output the molecule that red made. Won't do any good until that gets output. Okay, so blue grabs an oxygen, bond for some reason, which you'll see soon, drop here, grab, you'll see for why that's there, heads back to the sink. No, that's no good. Why? Because it's slowing red down. So I don't want red to sit there, so I'm going to put a sink here. Blue hits this sink, so red keeps going. Waits there, hits the sink again. Oh, I forgot to out. For red to keep going across the cycle, it needs an input alpha. So blue can do that. There we go. Second path is now working. So it grabs this. This bond command is now doing double duty. It bonds this carbon and hydrogen together. And blue here, the bond creates a bond between the oxygen and the oxygen. So this gets double bonded. This will try to get double bonded, but since hydrogen can only have one bond, there's only one bond it can make, so the extra bond is harmless. So notice we now have double bonded oxygen. Drop, grab. I need to drop it. There, and output. So, blue comes, double bonds the oxygen, drops, outputs, waits. And I do believe that since red travels less distance in this solution than my previous one, I've just broken my record, and hopefully this is faster than what that guy on my friends list did. Let's see. No, it wasn't. That was worse than my previous solution. That was less symbols than my last solution. That's the kind of game SpaceChem has. I would have sworn this would be faster. Now, well, how am I going to speed this up? I need to sit here and think for a couple minutes. So I think we're going to have some solution where red and blue each carry one over, and then how they deal with the oxygen will be different. So red will grab, drop, and we're going to need blue to be doing pretty much exactly the same thing. Probably don't need sinks anymore. Now these paths are both the exact same length. I mean, if blue did that, you can see it's the both paths are the same length. So let's watch it and see what happens. Blue's gonna have to start way back so that there's no collisions or anything. When blue hits all these commands, they do activate, but there's no harm in activating commands that don't do anything. Okay. Well, that's not gonna work. Oh, here's why it's not gonna work. Because if I try to output, it's going to also try to output the single oxygen. And it says, no, that's not what I wanted. I wanted that thing, not a single oxygen, so I have to put you there. Which means blue's going to have to move all of it down. Paths are different lengths now, but we'll have to figure that out. Oh, right. Or, no. Paths are same lengths. Red dropping. Blue goes. Grab. Okay, I would want red to also hit a bond here, so I'll need to have red come a little faster. Is that what it needs to do? That didn't work. Let's put blue here. Just trying to work out the timing so that everything works. There. Another red bond here. Drop output, okay. The solution seems to work. Let's see how fast it goes. Oh, it's faster than my fastest solution, closing in on that 198. How can I make this faster? Let me sit and stare at this for another while. So the way you speed things up in this case is to make these loops tighter so that less distance is traveled. If I think I can do that by moving everything down a little bit. What happens here? If I spin it that way, it'll still work, just have to move some of these bonds over a little bit. Oh, no, that didn't actually save time, because now I have to move further over here to actually output things. What if I spin it the other way? Well, that won't work, because I'm moving away from my hydrogen. Whoops. Nope, nope, move the bond over. Okay, this should still work, but I think it's the exact same time. I didn't... What the heck was that? Blue... Oh, this bond needed to be here. That works. I think this is the exact same solution, yeah. That's the kind of game this is. I'm gonna have to stare at this a while again. Okay, let's do this. Instead of grabbing on the whole ethanol molecule and worrying about bonding the hydrogen, let's grab that hydrogen instead and do things to it. So if I grab it... Wait, so we'll need to input this molecule, swap the oxygen away, grab the hydrogen, bond it. Oh. No, of course that won't work. Okay, I think I've got it. Since we're only trying to save, what, like, how many cycles? 13 cycles. That's just one cycle saved per entire loop. Let's try grabbing the hydrogen down there. Do the same swap and bond dealies as before. So rotate... Same swap and bond dealies as before. Swap... Oh my god. So that doesn't collide anymore. Swap. Bond. Blue moved too far. In the meantime, I'm gonna need that. So we're just focusing on red, swap, bond, rotate back, and drop it there. I think I saved I have red, the loop will end up being 2 units shorter, but since there's another rotate, it subtracts 1, so the net savings is 1 cycle per loop. Drop, and then I can have this, all this garbage, over a little bit. This is a messy, messy solution right now. Just, yeah. All this stuff, go away. Grab the oxygen that's there, drop it here. Worry about blue at some point. Earliest blue can input a new molecule is right there. Oh, red needed to output this guy at some point. Blue's going to be doing the same thing as red. I'll grab the oxygen there, bond it here, drop it here, output. So let's see how blue does. Doing the same thing. So it needs the bond here. Can solve that problem by having some things go off track. That way, it actually saves a cycle too, but oh, but it's blue, okay. So we need blue to actually start, and red to go. Just a sec, I gotta redesign a whole bunch of things. Okay. Now we just watch this and see if anything breaks. It broke because red didn't actually input anything. Grab that. Oh, it needed to double bond. This isn't as easy as I thought it would be. Let's see what happens if we move red back 1. Oh, that works. Put a blue bond here. I forgot to output the main molecule with the red. Where do I have even time to do that? Right here. I think this works. Let's see what we got. Okay, so it's gone through a couple cycles, nothing's gonna break. I know that this works. Looking at the very last oxygen that needs to be formed. It's here. Love to have an output command right there to save a cycle. Oh, hey! Yay! Hey! Yeah! We did it! We finally broke that guy's record. By much more than I thought I would. I could probably... I mean, I don't need that, for one. I could probably play around with this a little more, maybe squeeze another cycle or two. But, we'll call that a video for now. So, going through, very slowly. Red inputs. Blue grabs. Blue bonds, that's not needed right now. Blue rotates. Swaps the oxygen. Bonds the hydrogen together. Rotates back. Drops it. Meanwhile, red's working on doing exactly the same thing. Blue grabs the first half of this oxygen molecule, outputs the ethane, drops the oxygen there. Waits for red to come around, grabs the other half of the oxygen, both while those hit a bond so that this gets double bonded. Red drops it, red outputs omega, and then outputs this. Since I end up outputting 20 of these, it's faster to output the oxygen. Because I'm gonna, at this point here, I've made all the ethane I possibly need, but I'm only half done the oxygen, so that's why it's better to have the omega out first. Well, I hope this didn't seem as daunting as it did before. I know I might have gone through something still fast again. But like I said, there's the demo on Steam. It's absolutely fantastic. It has a ton of content. You really should download it and try to play through it yourself. Then hopefully some of the things I do will make a little bit more sense. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this.